Today on Larry King Now, Pretty Little Liars, Troian Bellisario.
But I think truthfully it's popular because it touches on a truth of adolescence, which is anxiety and paranoia. We just sort of take that to the extreme and we go, everybody was talking about you, everybody is threatening your life, everybody is coming after you.
Is there a stigma to be on a teen show?
Absolutely. People are more interested often in your fashion or your hair rather than the work that you're doing as an actor. Or on our show, the writers and the directors and the cinematographers. They're doing amazing work, and yet it's all sort of swept under the rug as fluff.
Do you feel you're a role model? You help people?
I definitely hope. I mean, I've been put in a position of power, and I would hope to give positive influence rather than negative influence.
Plus, is this common among teenage girls, do you think?
Lying? Well, the problem with our characters is they have to lie about a lot of really huge things, like murdering people.
Oh. All next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. Our special guest is Troian Bellisario, the actress, writer, and producer. She appeared in the Wig series Lauren about sexual assault in the military, and she is in her 5th season as the intelligent, overachieving, and determined Spencer Hastings in ABC Family's hit TV show Pretty Little Liars. That airs Tuesday nights at 8 Eastern. The show was recently picked up for 2 more years.
Yes.
I never heard of that. Shows are usually picked up for 13 weeks, 1 more year. How do they know 2 years?
I don't know how they know it. I guess that's just what they wanted to do. It's a very rare thing, and it's been unprecedented on our network, especially. Most shows on our network, ABC Family, go for only 5 seasons. So for us to go fully to 7, it's pretty incredible.
Tell me about the show.
Well, the show is about 4 best friends who... High school, who are held together by a sort of single queen bee frenemy named Allison De Laurentiis. And she sort of takes these 4 very different girls and makes a friends group. And then on one of the last slumber parties before their sophomore year of high school, she disappears and is found a year later murdered. From her funeral, which brings the 4 friends back together, the girls are stalked by this character who goes by the letter A. And they're blackmailed, they're threatened, they are bullied.
Do we ever see A?
You see A in the form of somebody in a hoodie. It's always a mystery, and A has been a number of people. A came out in season 2 as Mona Vanderwall, who was somebody that the girls all together kind of tortured and bullied in school. But right now, in our current season, we've discovered that Allison is not dead. We've kind of brought her back to Rosewood, but we are still all being pursued by A. Why
is this show so popular?
I think for a number of different reasons. I think the show is popular because it's beautiful, it's fun, it both takes itself seriously and is also campy at times. But I think truthfully it's popular because it touches on a truth of adolescence, which is anxiety and paranoia. You know, the feeling when you were younger and you walked into a room and everybody all of a sudden shuts up and you go, oh my God, they were talking about me and they hate me. And everybody feels that when they're growing up. And as we become adults, we go, I'm being ridiculous. They probably weren't talking about me. But to a young woman or a young man, that's their whole world. And so in our world, in Pretty Little Liars, we just sort of take that to the extreme and we go, everybody was talking about you, everybody is threatening your life, everybody is coming after you.
I understand more tweets about this show than any other show.
We, oddly enough, I mean, I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, and I just found out that we actually, our premiere was more tweeted about than the finale of Game of Thrones.
And they're adult viewers?
There are adult viewers. They don't like to admit that. They like to say that I'm their guilty pleasure, or our shows are their guilty pleasure, but they watch.
Okay, you wrote an article in The Hollywood Reporter imploring the TV Academy not to be ageist when it comes to recognizing teen shows. Teen shows don't get seriously looked at.
This was what was interesting, and this is what I was afraid to kind of write the article, was I talked to The Hollywood Reporter and I said, you know, they asked me, do you think that young adult shows should be considered? And I said, well, that's a really interesting question because...
They're not?
Well, not often. And you look at everything, you know, sitcoms are considered. Glee, which is a musical, is considered. Some teen shows, like My So-Called Life, was considered for an Emmy. But things like Vampire Diaries or Gossip Girl, things that are seen as teen soap operas, are often sort of swept aside as candy.
Was the show nominated?
No, the show's never nominated. This is the first year that we've kind of been put up for consideration. And so what I wanted to write about was not saying we deserve a nomination, but shouldn't you, on the Academy, if you're going to watch many different television shows and consider them within the context of their genre, shouldn't you watch our show and consider it within the context of its genre?
Is there a stigma to be on a teen show?
Absolutely.
Why?
Why? Well, mostly because I have a lot of Twitter followers, and it's sort of like a popularity contest. People are more interested often in your fashion or your hair rather than the work that you're doing as an actor. Or on our show, the writers and the directors and the cinematographers. They're doing amazing work, and yet it's all sort of swept under the rug as fluff.
What is your name, Troian? I never heard of a name, Troian.
Troian, it's an old family name from my great-great-grandmother, and it means woman of Troy. It's Etruscan.
Aha. Is Twitter and Instagram important to the show?
It's crucial to the show.
Because?
Because I think the reason our show is so successful is that we came out in a time when Twitter was just getting its legs. And all of a sudden there was this world in which our show would air and people could talk about it at the same time. And our show is very sensationalized. Things happen that are crazy and you know, out of left field. And
obviously, dead people come back.
Dead people come back to life. People get killed off. And you want to be able to not have the water cooler talk tomorrow, but with Twitter, in that instant. So my character is shot, and all of a sudden, everybody on Twitter who's watching the show all over the world, from Israel to Brazil, can talk to each other and go, oh my God, Spencer was just shot. And it's this very different thing rather than the next day coming to your work and going, oh, could you believe it when Spencer was shot? It's this more immediate thing.
We'll discuss women in Hollywood with Troian right after this. We're back with Troian Bellisario. She's one of the stars of Pretty Little Liars, the amazing hit on ABC. How'd you get the part?
How did I get the part?
You auditioned?
Well, I auditioned. I actually told my agents, I had just graduated from college, from theater school at USC, and I grew up in television. My parents were both creators of television, and as an act of rebellion, I didn't watch TV. And my goal was to go to New York and become a theater and film actress. And it was actually the first pilot that I auditioned for. I was doing a play at the Geffen Playhouse, and I was just thinking that I was going to move to New York, and there was this.
So why did you even go to the audition?
My agents convinced me. They were like, look, we think this show is going to be a huge hit. They were right, but they were like, you know, it's going to be good. Just audition, go get seen by these people. You've just graduated. It's important for you to go out and get your sea legs. And I went in and I read the script. I thought it was interesting. I knew the character because I was an overachiever in school, and I thought, I definitely know this girl. But I thought they'll never cast me in a million years, so I just went in and had fun, and then they gave me a call back, and I was like, really? And then they gave me another one, and then I got the part. Huh. Still sort of completely disbelief. I was like, you guys are totally wrong. You don't want me. This is wrong.
Do you still want to do theater?
Absolutely.
But you also were in the Wig series Lauren, right?
I was on my hiatus, which is rather small, and so I don't get to do any other work, which is kind of why I started writing and producing on my own time. And a friend who directed the pilot, Leslie Linka Glatter, and several of the finales of the show, and basically convinced me to do the show when I was nervous, because I was like, I don't know if I want to do TV. She called and she said, I think this will really change your life. And she called me and she said, I want you to read a script. And I read it. It was 30 pages long. It was one of the most incredible scripts that I'd ever read. It was for a young woman in her 20s in the military, and I thought, I'll never get to play a role like this. And she said, well, look, I want you to play it. And I said, yes, absolutely. And she said, great, we start shooting the day after tomorrow. And this is like 30 pages of straight monologues, and I had no idea anything about the military, the way a soldier should stand. I only knew what we know about Iraq and Afghanistan, and I did it.
Wow. You and the girls recently did a photograph for Gentleman GQ. There it is.
There's the photo.
That got some slack because it was photoshopped, right?
Right.
That means they took away blemishes.
Yes.
Why was that? What's the big deal? Isn't that done all the time?
Well, that was my point. Was everybody started getting. Fans criticized it. Many people on the web criticized it and said, you guys are supposed to be role models for young women. How could you do this? That was photoshopped. And really the problem that people had was that it was sexualized. Not photoshopped because we are photoshopped on the poster of our show, which is something that Ashley Benson and I have used our social media accounts to talk about, to say, even to the point where we didn't like it. We said we are being overly photoshopped and this is giving a bad impression on the young girls who watch our show. Now, this is a men's magazine. We're in it for a reason, and that's that we are attractive women. And I can tell you that the women that you see in that photo look like that in real life. I work with some of the most beautiful women in television. And the fact that people were giving us flack for being photoshopped when everybody is photoshopped, it didn't sit right with me. I felt like it was propagated.